So, I'm back from my big adventure of trying to game the algorithm. It didn't go so well. I thought that that I thought that responding to that New York Times article was going to really fucking push it into the stratosphere, but I think I ended up getting like 40 views. Um, all the people that whether I follow them or not, their videos pop up in my feed. So Andy Edwards, Rick Beato, Professor of Rock, they all responded to it. Um, and with much greater success. But whatever, dude. Algorithms come and go. The music that I'm just making this up. Algorithms come and go, but the music you love is forever. Or it's as long as you're around to appreciate it, right? Anyway, so I decided I was like, well, what really? I mean, I'm going to do. I have a few videos in mind, and I have not forgotten that I'm going to do the fall video. But the fall video is going to be like over. I need to like kind of prep for that a little bit. This video that I'm going to do right now, I actually did prep for a little bit. But it was kind of interesting. What happened is that, well, I woke up at like 3 this morning. I didn't have to get up till 5, but I got up at 3 and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I didn't get a ton of sleep, so I'm kind of sleep deprived. And but one of my last sometimes I wake up with songs in my head, and sometimes those songs aren't they're songs that are like original, and then I like record them and then I try to turn them into a song later. I've gotten like, I want to say at least 5 or 6 songs that way. But other times I have like an established song in my head, right? And you know what was in this dream I was having was I I had a song by M Ward in my head, which was Chinese translation. And in the song I was talking with somebody, and either the person I was talking to, my interlocutor, or I was just really astounded with the sort of brilliance of this song. And it's kind of funny because I remember sometimes when I was a lot younger and I would play certain albums, like my dad and I would maybe be playing cards or something, and I have the CD player there, and I would just be playing like CDs and stuff. I remember listening to like Whiskey Town, Pneumonia with him, and listening to like Roxy music because I remember he thought Roxy music and like King Crimson were kind of cool. And I remember listening to like M Ward with my dad, and I remember like with Chinese translation, him saying like, "Yeah, I could see why you like this." And actually, there's another little story about my dad commenting on my my music taste that I'll mention later. But anyway, so I had Chinese translation in my head, and I woke up and I was like, "Hey, that's really great, man." So, well, and then I couldn't go back to sleep, so I got up and I found the CD that I had, and I just listened to it. And then I listened to another M Ward album because I when I heard an M Ward track on it was like a Mojo music sampler in like 2001, 2002, and it was that Archangel Tale, which was on End of Amnesia. And I ended up getting End of Amnesia, and I think it was before it got re-released, and I really liked that album. I never heard anything like that before. And then I used to take my brother to go see shows a lot in the early aughts, so we went out and we saw M Ward open for Vic Chestnut. I'm not a big Vic Chestnut fan, and my brother wasn't either, but we I got to talk to M Ward before the show. He was really cool, and I think it was before the show or right after. I think it was before he played, and then we watched him play, and it was just really him acoustic, just playing his tunes, and it was great. I think that's the only time I got to see him live, and he was really cool. And I might have picked this one up. I might have picked this one up at Yeah, maybe because it's on So M Ward, he got basically discovered by Giant Sand. I did a video on Giant Sand, um, and this is his first. It's his first album. I think I've only spun it a few times. I might have picked it up at that show, but then maybe I picked it up later somewhere along the line. But it's called Duet for Guitars #2. It's the first album. I'll have to revisit it. I actually dug this out of the garage when I was looking for another album, so I have it now. End of Amnesia. I don't know what happened to my copy of it. It is just really an album that I love, like Archangel Tale, From a Radio Sermon. Um, I didn't write down all the tunes, but it's really great, and it sort of inaugurates the what I wrote in my notes is the deep melancholy of the early albums. Like I think with I don't know about that one, but I think with End of Amnesia there's this really sort of like profound sort of like melancholy, sadness, more than like Hal Gelb like kind of discovered M Ward, but it's more than anything you'd find on a Giant Sand record or a lot of the other stuff, because back then you had the early aughts, you had like Smog. I have a couple Smog albums. I'm not actually a big Bill Callahan Smog fan. I have a few. I like Golden. Is it Dongs of Devotion? Like that. I think that album is good, but not really into them. I like Will Oldham, Bonnie Prince Billy a lot more. Although I stopped 15 albums ago with him, and I saw him live a few times. Um, he kind of delved into that sort of sad songwriting. There was just more of a there was more of a market for this melancholy, sad songwriter thing, and it did, but it didn't have that 70s sad. If there was a 70s sad, I don't think there really was a 70s sad. I think like Gordon Lightfoot was somebody who had there's a melancholy aspect, but there's also really kind of enchanting melodic sensibility to what he was doing on a lot of songs. There was something about that late 90s, early aughts. It was coming out of the alt country scene, but there was something about that there was a very palpable kind of sadness to it. It was Ryan Adams could get to that sometimes. So I don't have End of Amnesia. I'm gonna have to re-get it because I really do like that album a lot. Watch, I'll go to Amoeba and they won't have it. I did. I still have this copy. This is the copy I had. This is the album that came after End of Amnesia. End of Amnesia was 2001. I didn't even write down what year this came out. Transfiguration of Vincent. This probably was like 2003. This, probably a lot of people would say this is his best album. I guess it kind of is. It's got sad song. That's great. Undertaker that's a really melancholy song. I love there's, you know what? Matt Ward is like he was super Catholic. And so he brings a lot of that into his songs, and I relate to a lot of that. And I remember this is another one. Dead Man is on here. Get to the Table on Time is really like a biblical kind of song. The Lord of Lords, he laid out a feast. He said, "Listen to me, boys. This will be the last one of these. So you better get to the table. Get to the table on time." Dead Man's really sad. Let's Dance. It's a really melancholy version of David Bowie's Let's Dance. That was a song I remember, like, I played it. My dad heard this version and I played him. I was like, well, listen to the original one. I grabbed my CD of Let's Dance. He's like, I prefer this, but he's like, I know why you like the other one better. Because, like, I'm a fucking depressing person. I'm a depressive person. I monger depression around. But this is his best. This is his best one. End of Amnesia is really great, but this kind of like tops it a little bit. The Transfiguration of Vincent. So grab that. What's interesting is that the album, this one came out after Transfiguration of Vincent. It's called Transistor Radio. And I remember I was playing It might have been actually before I started I played bass in this band called The Hard Goodbye. I'm not a bass player, despite what Ryan would say. I'm not a bass player, and I'm not a good bass player. But I did play bass in this band called The Hard Goodbye. I really had to practice a lot to do it. And the guy who was the singer, his name was Matt. He's sang and played guitar. And what happened was this is I this is like around when this album came out, and I remember I think I was still kind of drinking. I would drink with him and stuff, and I would remember I was at we were in the same apartment building. It was really funny. It's like I had just gotten this, and I'd be listening to it, and Ethan, who played bass in my band and the Happy Casualties, he also played in the Hard Goodbye, played keyboards and guitar. Like Ethan, anything I was listening to, Ethan would listen to, and sometimes it would like make its way out of my room or whatever. And I was like hanging out with Matt, and we were drinking one night, and I saw this CD in his room when we're hanging out, and I'm like, I put it all together in my mind, like without question, like Sherlock Holmes did. I was like, Ethan took this out of my room, and he wanted to play it for Matt or something, and now it's in Matt's room, and he's been listening to it. Now it's there. So at some point while we're hanging out and drinking, I look, make sure it's got the CD in it, and then I smuggled it out of Matt's room, right? And then I got home. I got back to my room, and I found my own copy there. Matt, I guess, had just got a copy of it, which I totally was surprised. And then so I had to do the reverse smuggle the next day. I don't think I ever admitted to Matt because it was surreptitious. I was like, but I really thought I was taking back my own CD that had been there was no, Ethan was and is an inconsiderate person. So it's not out of character for him to do that, but that's basically what I thought he just did. Like Ethan had you know what? I'll tell you a quick Ethan story. Ethan, one time he was wearing a shirt just like this, a flannel shirt, because he was from like, is Washington? That's where Seattle is, right? I've never been. Well, actually, no, I was in Seattle once. But no, he was in Washington, but like Spokane or something, right? So, but he would wear this because you got to rep your grunge cred, right? And he was a very conflicted young man. He's still probably very conflicted. But I remember one time, like he became this drunk that was just really like sort of unbearable. Those guys had a bad influence on him because they kind of prompted him to be a violent sort of drunk. I'm a very like depressive drunk, but they prompted, and I'm actually like, I don't want to move around so much from drinking, but they would all like destroy stuff when they got drunk. So he starts hanging out with them, and he starts getting drunk, and he starts getting violent and stuff. But I remember one time, like, we're at home, and I had actually quit drinking at this point. He came running up the stairs. He's wearing a shirt like this, and it was kind of still dark, and there was a frying pan on the stove. He comes running up the stairs, and he starts pulling like strips of raw bacon out of the pocket of his out of his shirt and putting it in the frying pan, and he starts frying it. And I refer to it as like the pocket bacon incident, I think, to other band members' delight. But anyway, so this one, I thought it was lost again, but I went out to the garage and I looked, I scoured. I was thinking, well, it would be appropriate if it's missing, considering what happened with Matt. But it wasn't missing. I found it. It wasn't next to, but it was in the same box as the Duet for Guitars. No End of Amnesia, though. I know that's gone. I'm going to have to get that back. This is good, but this is from 2005, and this ends the melancholy period. There's some sad stuff on here, but he is now. It's not super depressive music. This is the album I listened to when I woke up post-war. I think that this is a really close. I have to put End of Amnesia number 2 of Transfiguration of Vincent. This is number 3. This is a really great record post-war. Right in the Head. I hope his guardian angel puts a gun in his hand if ever they get ambushed or pursued. It's kind of has the vibe of what was going on with America kind of at that time. It's great. That's, I think, thunder. Or somebody's closing their garage. How appropriate. But anyways, Right in the Head, Poison Cup. Chinese translation. The same verse repeated twice. In my dream, it's almost a miraculous song. It was really, and it is kind of a profound song for some reason. I don't know. Sometimes certain songs, and you know what? He's been doing a thing on it doesn't it's not so much in Transfiguration of Vincent, but after that he does this thing, and I'm going to talk about this in another video. He's starting to bring in these kind of exotica sort of vibes, like like Martin Denny kind of vibes. And I'm gonna actually do a video on like that type of exotica tiki music because I really do like it. So Ima Sumac, things like that. So but he starts bringing in not just with like a Hawaiian guitar sound, but also some of the atmospheric vibe, and listening to it reminded me of that. So I think when he got out of the more depressive stuff, I think a little bit more of this old timey jazz and exotica type music started to influence what he was doing. Oh, they're bringing out garbage cans. That's why it's trash day tomorrow. Anyways, so Post War I think is a great album, and then this one I didn't listen to it a ton when it came out, but it was Hold Time, and actually this does there's some depressive sort of stuff on here, but there's a lot of, he has like a very keen pop sensibility, and I think this is an album that I got when it came out. I didn't listen to it a ton, but then later I did listen to it, and I really do like it a lot, but I kind of stopped following him. Like I talked about, stop following certain artists after a certain time. So I haven't listened to anything after whole time. I think I listened to, I listened to that album that he did with the She and Him, where they did the Beach Boys Brian Wilson songs. I kind of wasn't too thrilled with it. But let's have this be the standard for End of Amnesia. This might be a great album in its own right. I didn't even know I had it. I was so surprised to find it. But if you take these and add End of Amnesia, you have like a really solid, excellent 5-album run by Mr. Matthew Ward. So that's it. That's my video. If you like it, comment, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later.